says, no, we just really want
I
to
can't
get
tell
back
a huge
through
difference. The only way I can
because,
tell a huge difference
she
is
was
when I
just
went
saying
to the fifth wheel, and then I went to an independence, four-wheel independent suspension.
it's not
Now
some
now the
kind of
wind and stuff like that doesn't
decision
bother me, but other than
recently
that, I was,
more educated on it,
E-bikes
more
on the back made
informed
a
on it.
difference, though. We had tows. I'm like, wow, this thing like
it does. In fact, some I was reading, a post today, somebody had two e-bikes on the back of their bumper pull Brinkley, and they were complaining about it. Yeah,
because that's what I want.
I
I'd love
just
to be able
really
to have
feel
my,
strongly that
somehow get, well, I can do an inflatable kayak, but my wife and I love to kayak. Just on a lake, you know, not going down a river. E-bikes and an ATV. I would love to have those, be able to take those three things.
yeah.
Oh,
But yeah, bumper pull trailers are a little bit more susceptible to that wagging because, you know, they have to have a lighter tongue weight. Their tongue weight's 4,000 pounds instead of 2,000 on a fifth wheel,
Administrative law judge, how
you know.
it just says they have to be law educated,
yeah, I don't know.
but it doesn't
I'd like to
say
get one. I like the idea of it. What I'd like to do
say
is
any
get on the road for 2
specifics like
months
that.
and
what kind of,
see some of the national parks and
Right.
stuff.
Mhm.
National
Can I
parks
be an
and
armchair
stuff.
Yeah,
lawyer? I mean, no, we don't want that. So
we did.
I'll be asking about that.
yeah.
We did 2.5 weeks up through the Black Hills, North Dakota, South Dakota, North Dakota, Wyoming, Montana, Yellowstone.
Nice.
You know, it was really fun.
Yours is,
Mine's 3511, so it's a big coach. It's the most popular coach they manufacture, that size, because it's truly
Not yet. I don't know if I've got the
it's a
internet.
live-in coach. You can truly go, oh yeah, I could live in this, you know, because the living room's big enough to where I
Hi,
can stay down
welcome.
there. My wife can go to bed and watch TV up in her room, and, you know, it's
but some camp spots, that's getting too big, right?
yeah, yep. They have some little 150s. I mean, they call it, well, it's even now, they have a little 100 series. They're just smaller
Hadn't heard
fifth
so
wheels.
bad before, but it's nice to have it feel bigger. Yeah.
Is they have something called a toy tote that you can put on the back that would carry your toys. And coming out of Utah, if you know you're going from point A to point B,
Thing wasn't back on
you
our
can double
agenda.
tow out of Utah.
Are you gonna, oh,
Oh, there we
there's
go.
Steve.
Just in time.
It's a pain if you ever get stuck and you have to back up your hose.
You Just dip really much.
How are you? Made it. Good.
We're glad.
Sometimes these 6 o'clocks are hard when I have meetings that go long.
Oh, yeah.
That feels like forever since we met.
Yeah.
Nephew, we got Melvin, 3 deer down on the ranch. So, I'm feeling all the tags pretty good.
I hunted Spike out and I hunted hard and I saw a lot of bulls, a lot of cows, close.
Where we
Very
at?
close range. I hunted outside of Cushera in Monroe unit, and then I hunted up here around
Did
Strawberry.
you get into the burn area of Monroe at all?
Not the new burn,
Not the new burn.
and that place is doing really well.
Yeah.
I got within.
Would you lead us in the pledge today?
Sure.
Very nice bulls.
I got some pictures of some nice bulls down there. My
Okay.
son-in-law next door
Are we ready, Mike?
in Monroe
Okay.
for deer.
There's nice deer in there.
Yeah, they had,
A lot of people up there hunting them.
yeah.
But I hunted Strawberry. I probably went out 5 times. I just didn't see a single.
Would like to welcome you to our Planning Commission meeting on today, October 28th, 2025. We'll begin our meeting today with an invocation by Commissioner Doan, and then we'll be led in the Pledge of Allegiance by Commissioner Call.
Our dear Father in heaven, we are grateful to gather tonight and pray that our minds may be clear, that we may have good discussions with one another and be able to understand the needs of the community, that we can make the best decisions that we can. And we ask thy strength in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
Would you please stand and repeat? I pledge
We'll begin our meeting today with an audible roll call of the commissioners. Sharon Call,
Here.
Mike Marchbanks,
Here.
Rob Callis,
Here.
Steve Johnson, here, Scott Thompson,
Here.
Jared Showers,
Here.
Karen Danielson is excused tonight, and Ryan Doan.
Here.
The next item on our agenda is approval of our minutes from our last meeting, which was held September 23rd. The commissioners have received copies of these minutes beforehand and have had a chance to review them. With that, are there any corrections or additions to those minutes? I didn't see any. It looked good to me.
How many corrections? Can you make a motion?
Yep, go ahead.
Make a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll second that motion.
I have a motion and a second to approve the minutes. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? The voting is unanimous. The minutes are approved. The next item on our agenda, item number 3, is a time for public comment. This is a time for members of the public to address the commission if they have any issues they'd like to address that for items that are not on the agenda. Is there anybody here for that purpose today? Okay, hearing none, we'll move on to item 4. This is a public hearing. This is to review an ordinance enacting Chapter 2.22 Administrative Hearings in the Lindon City Code to establish the process and procedures governing administrative hearings to replace the city's Board of Adjustments. This is going to amend various sections. As with all the public hearings that we have been doing lately, we will have the staff present to us. We'll ask questions amongst ourselves, and then we will open the public hearing to hear from the public. So we will turn the time over to Mike Florence to give us the presentation.
All right. Thank you, Commissioners. It's great to be here with you this evening. So for a while now, the Lindon City has wanted to propose a different type of appeal body for appeals in Lindon City. So what we have before you is to change from, in one section, for specifically land use. If you look at our 1709, these are all the different land use applications we have. And right now, the Board of Adjustment is the appeal authority on most of these, or all of these for land use applications. So one of the items is changing from a Board of Adjustment to an administrative law judge for land use appeals. An administrative law judge, who is that? That's someone that would be appointed or recommended for an appointment by the mayor with consent of the city council. We've adopted a new, or proposing a new chapter 2.22, which outlines the procedures for designating an administrative law judge. So it would be someone typically with a legal background that would be an administrative law judge that would be approved by the city council and recommended by the mayor. There's other appeals that would take place as well. So one is variances. That's what the Board of Adjustment mostly does. They hear appeals for variances. They also hear appeals on other land use applications, but for the most part, they mainly do variances. We've been lucky where some of our Board of Adjustment members have been on for over 20 years. And but one thing we found, though, up until just recently, we had 2 meetings recently, but up between that, they'd only met twice in the last 6 years. They just don't meet often enough, and it's hard to keep them trained It's hard, like, we'll meet periodically just to approve the minutes from 2 years previous. And so, you know, and then also it's important to make sure we're having good legal and sound decisions that are made. And land use applications, land use law, it's always getting more complicated. And so that's a couple of the reasons for proposing to going in the direction of an administrative law judge. There's listed here different items that that the administrative law judge could hear on appeal as well. For example, a nuisance animal, a barking dog issue that we've had, where our code enforcement officer has worked with that property owner. And then finally, it's just accelerated to the point where we need to go to an administrative law judge and have them help make the decision of, you know, the next steps on an animal. Building permits, fence permits, sign permits, you know, those types of things. Those could be other types of appeals that the administrative law judge would hear. So Brian's the expert on this. Do you have any questions so far on this ordinance that we've gone through?
You started by saying typically it's a lawyer. Does it not have to be?
It doesn't have to be. If you look at our ordinance, let me go to that really quick. 2.2270, appointment and qualifications of an administrative law judge. They serve as a 2-year term. What it says is a person appointed to serve as an administrative law judge shall either be law trained or have significant experience with the requirements and operations of administrative hearing processes. So they at least have to have some experience in this field.
Is that,
Might be certain circumstances where we have, oh, I turned it off. I went to turn it on. There we go. There might be certain circumstances where we need a particular expertise, and the code allows for appointment of special administrative law judges. So if we have an appeal coming up on a water issue, someone challenges how much water they're required to give, we could bring in someone who has expertise in that, who doesn't necessarily have to be a lawyer, but has a lot of experience there. Building permits and construction issues is another one where we may not necessarily look to attorneys. We'd look to people who have more practical experience.
so you could appoint one based on your needs. It's not like you're hiring one and that's the one we get all the time.
One that we would probably have, but there is a provision allowing for an appointment of a special administrative law judge on a temporary basis to deal with those issues. But generally speaking, they are law trained, but we'd go through a process, but it doesn't have to be law trained.
Are they a paid city employee? And how's that?
Yes, they would be paid, and they're paid on an hourly rate, contract type of thing that they negotiate with the mayor. We would put out a request for proposals, go through that process.
So do you have, just the city, or you have the opportunity to determine whether they have the expertise in the field that you're needing?
Yeah, exactly. That's
So
what.
you can kind of vet that?
Exactly. We would put out this request for proposals, have them submit resumes. The mayor, city administrator would go through, check their experiences,
Okay.
and be a full vetting process before their appointment,
Okay.
especially for the full-time regular administrative law judge.
Okay. That would be my question, just because you'd want to make sure they had the expertise that you need. Yeah.
I don't know if the microphones are working very well.
Oh.
Just pull those close to you. It seems like it's a little,
Is this not working? Is it one of those?
Okay.
Started it, but they were already out, so I don't know if I need to replug in or not. Is yours working?
I think so.
If I really hear myself.
Yeah.
Blow into it. That one is.
Well, yeah, okay. Poor people online are hearing.
of questions as I went through this. But that was a big one. Number 4 in here is, what does law trained mean? Do we need to specify that in more detail? Could it be someone who's had a semester of law school? I mean, you know what I mean?
Right, that's a definition that's used in the state code.
Okay.
It has a definition, you have to be a member of the Utah Bar.
Gotcha.
And so we would rely on that.
Awesome. That helps.
So did we pull, it appears that we may have drafted this from someone else's ordinance.
Oh, yeah.
Or that type of
Yes.
thing, yeah.
Yeah, it's, the ALJs are administrative law judges are very common, particularly up in Salt Lake County. So we relied heavily on several municipalities there.
That's what I
Lehigh
wondered,
uses and this approach as well. So we consulted with them. We've done a lot of research on what works and what hasn't worked for different entities. So.
Okay. Well, I think that's great, rather than trying to recreate it, but that's what I wondered, if it was from other cities where it had worked well.
Yeah.
The thought would be we'd have one or several with different expertise.
It would be, we would have one, and then as issues come up, if there is an expertise needed, we would go out and try to find somebody to fill in for that particular hearing.
I see.
Is this administrative law judge the final say, or is there an appeal process beyond that?
There is the right to challenge it to the district court.
Okay.
But as far as at the city, they would, well, depends on the findings, okay? So the administrative law judge is gonna come in, and he's going to, or they, I should say, they're gonna come in and they're going to review the record that has been made. And they're gonna determine not, hey, was this the best choice that could have been made? They're gonna determine whether or not it was legal and whether it was arbitrary or capricious. And under the statute, arbitrary and capricious means there just wasn't enough evidence in the record to support that decision. Doesn't mean it was a good decision or a bad decision. They're not there to substitute their opinion for that of the body making the decision. If they find that something was illegal, you can't do this under the statute, under the state law or the federal law, then they will have the authority to just declare it invalid, or if they can modify it to make it legal, if there was just one little provision in the decision that was incorrect and contrary to the law, they can modify that part of the order. If they find that it's arbitrary and capricious, going, hey, there's just not enough there, then the remedy is they don't make a decision, they send it back, they remand it back to the body and say, you didn't have enough. That there wasn't enough in the record. And so that's the process. So when we say they're the final decision, yes, in a sense. But if they're finding that a decision was arbitrary and capricious, they don't substitute their own judgment for what it should have been. They send it back for reconsideration so that the body who is appointed or elected by the people, and is answerable to the people, they're the ones who are still making the decision. We think that's important.
I guess along with that, I mean, we only have a few history cases, right, in our city.
Right.
I'm assuming, are most of these, and maybe this is not are most of these decisions, our microphones are much louder all of a
Yeah,
sudden.
they're working now.
Are most of these decisions just reaffirming? Is there a lot of process? I mean, I've never had anything come back to us, so I'm assuming most of these are that they're looking and just making sure that the process when someone's
Yeah,
questioning
historically speaking, there haven't been a whole lot that have been overturned, the underlying decisions that have been overturned. And since I've been practicing in Lindon for 28 years now, we've never had one go to the district court. The decision that was made, sustaining the underlying decision was just accepted by the parties at that point, so.
Just wondering how often this, I'm guessing in bigger cities, it's probably more often that there's.
I have to take that back. There was one. We had a group home that was denied, and that was the decision. And that one they did take that to the district court up in Salt Lake, but after a very short time, I think it was only like 3 months, the the appellant, the person who was challenging the city's decision, got a new attorney, and that new attorney came in and said, no, we're good, and filed a motion to dismiss the lawsuit. So there was that one time.
Yeah, and I think the 13 years I worked for South Salt Lake, we only had one or two as well. Most of the time, at least in South Salt Lake, we use the ALJ for code enforcement appeals and things. So when a code enforcement officer would issue a citation or something like that, then the person would appeal because they thought it was maybe unfair that they needed to cut their weeds in a certain period of time, or it gave them another body to discuss that with.
And it does provide us a good opportunity. Right now, if somebody doesn't respond, we're just taking it to our courts, to our justice court, and they're charged with a misdemeanor. And this gives us an administrative way to go down the road without having to go to the court. Now, we still have that option down the road if we need to, but honestly, our judge is awesome. Our court clerks are wonderful, but it's slow. It's a slow process, and this will help us be able to get things done a little bit quicker, so.
Well, Brian, I would imagine though that there are often times when the city council has to come to you and say, help us figure this out, though.
Oh, yeah, there is, and there have been some times when some decisions by some bodies, and this was years and years ago, really didn't quite follow the law and kind of put us in a tough spot, and so we had to, maneuver a little bit and work out some compromises, but having somebody who's law trained and has that experience, and again, our Board of Adjustment has been awesome. I will just say, like I said, we've worked with them for, Mike's worked with them forever, I've worked with them for 20 some odd years, and they're great, and we really appreciate them. But again, it's tough on them too. They go 3, 4, 5 years without ever having anything. They're not up to date on, we could probably be better at training and making them to train, but when we don't have cases coming to them, that's not on top of our priority. So we just think that this is a more efficient way, both for the city and for the people who have questions that they want addressed. This last year, we had an appeal that we needed to take to our Board of Adjustment, and it took us months and months to get a hearing set up because we couldn't get a quorum. And again, just life was busy, and it was tough to get a quorum. So that's just one example.
Makes sense.
More questions? We got some more?
I have a number of just clerical items.
Sure.
We don't need to go through right now.
You know what?
Could I just send them?
Yeah, why don't we just send them, because I'm still going through and finding a few clerical items, and
all right.
any help I could have on that, I'd appreciate.
Okay.
So, but the bulk of this ordinance, it's only, 37 pages? The bulk of this is going through and just modifying the rest of the code to make them match up with, hey, this is our new appeal authority as the administrative law judge. So
That helps a lot.
yeah, I would love any help that way I
I'll
can
send
get.
it your way.
Okay,
Thank you.
awesome.
Do you have anyone selected yet that
No.
you would like to use?
No, we've got, there are a few attorneys out there that I know of, and Mike's worked with a number, but what we'll do is we'll just put out this request for proposal, this RFP, and start that process.
So typically that'll be another judge with his own practice who will then just take this role when needed and paid on an hourly rate.
Right, or a city attorney out there. I'm actually an administrative law judge for another city. I do that on a temporary basis, and so you just put out that request, and then people will submit their applications, and we'll go through an interview process and a vetting process and select them.
How often do you get asked to?
Last year, I did 3 in the whole year. 3, and I'm for land use issues for them. And so, but it's not something that's used a ton, so.
And then it's just on an hourly basis?
Yeah.
Great, are there other questions from the commission?
I think in 25 years past, the Board of Adjustments did a lot more then
Yeah,
than they do now. Now that Lindon City has their act together, because I remember frequenting Board of Adjustments quite frequently, but it's been
Yeah.
25 years ago plus.
And the state law changed too on variances. It's very, the bar for getting a variance is very high now. An issue can't be self-imposed, it can't be for economic reasons. And so if you look in our files, the Board of Adjustment, 25 years ago, they did hundreds of
Yeah.
little modifications to people's setbacks and fences and
Well,
heights and
The part of
and
it
things
was,
and-
we weren't as organized as we are today too, that have things cut and dried, and there's a lot
states
of.
really clamped down on those too, yeah.
There's a lot of times when we would like to say, yeah, you use your best discretion, but we can't do that anymore. It's, this is what the law says, this is what we have to do, you know, so.
Excellent. Any other questions? If not, I will call for a motion to open the public hearing.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second the motion.
I have a motion and a second to open the public hearing. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The voting is unanimous and the public hearing is open. So at this time, we'd like any members of the public who would like to address us on this issue. If you come up one at a time, state your name and state what you'd like to tell us. Is there anybody here for that purpose? Okay. Hearing none from the public, I'll call for a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
I'll second it.
Have a motion and a second to close the public hearing. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries unanimously. Okay. As a commission, any other discussion that we have? It does sound like Commissioner Doan has some clerical stuff to pass on. We can recommend it and just note that there'll be some clerical that will go. Any other questions or recommendations?
You alluded to this already, but just as a reminder, you're making a recommendation to the city council. Correct.
It's an ordinance change.
Well, these administrative changes, do we need to hear them before they go to the city council?
The clerical ones, I don't,
Okay.
as long as it's not substantially changing things,
Okay.
I think you're okay.
All right.
Technically, all of those changes that are not in our zoning ordinance, you didn't need to hear, but it's all, one
Okay.
part and parcel of the same thing.
If there's no other discussion, I'd call for someone to make a motion.
I'll make that motion.
Okay.
I move to recommend approval of ordinance amendment 2025-15-0 to the city council.
I'll second that motion.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The voting is unanimous and it will move on to the city council. Is that gonna be on their next meeting, probably?
It is, yes.
Well, if anybody's interested, that will probably be on the next agenda meeting. Item 5 on our agenda is a discussion item. So just to be clear, this is an item just for discussion. There will be no motion or no action taken on this. It looks like there will be a public hearing there's a public hearing currently scheduled for our next meeting on November 11th to actually have some action on this, but this is just a preliminary discussion. So this is a presentation and discussion of proposed amendments to the allowable uses in the Lindon Village Zone. And I'm not there yet, but I'm assuming you're presenting since you're in the chair, Mike.
Yes.
So I'll turn the time over to you.
Okay. So a little while, a month or so ago, the city council asked me to look at the Lindon Village Zone to make sure the uses that are allowed in that zone is what we want. And specifically, we're looking at commercial uses. The Lindon Village Zone is what's here in the purple area. It's our 700 North corridor. Currently, the ordinance, what it says is, it's a short section, so it relates to our standard land use table, and I'll go to that in a second, but chapter 17.48.025 says permitted land uses. Permitted, conditional, and non-permitted uses in the Lindon Village Commercial Zone mirror those uses as reflected in the standard land use table. So the standard land use table is, go to that. It's this table here that lists the different zones, and then it has the different uses across the left side, and then N means not permitted or not allowed, C means it's conditional, and then P means it's permitted. And so continuing on, it says, reflected in the standard land use table for the general commercial zone, with the exception of the following uses which are not permitted in the Lindon Village zone. So when someone comes to me and says, I want to do this use in that Lindon Village zone, I first look, I see this commercial general right there. That's the zone we mirror, and then we look for the type of use that they may be doing. So let's go to a retail use. If someone wanted in the commercial general zone to do a department store, it says P for permitted. I say, come on in. There's some site requirements you got to meet. But then the zoning also said, then the Lindon Village zone also says, with the exception of the following uses that are not permitted. So out of that standard land use table, it's already taken out these 7 or 8 uses here. Truck or vehicle dealerships, new and used vehicle dealerships, auto lube, tune-up, auto tire sales, light equipment, indoor gun ranges, and assisted living, large and small assisted living uses. So the council's asked that we go through this list of uses here to make sure that what's allowed in there currently is what we want. And so that's what I've given you. I updated it a little bit today, showing in green the uses I'd like some feedback on to bring this back to you on November 11th for a public hearing. So again, I've highlighted the commercial general zone here, then I've made some comments or highlighted some sections. Membership lodging, I really don't know what that is.
Say, what is that?
Maybe, I know there's
Is that maybe a timeshare?
could be a timeshare, or, I know there's some of these camper world shares, I really don't know what that is. So that was one that I was considering to strike and bring to you. Assisted living is already large and small. Those are already prohibited in that zone. This is one. So this is our manufacturing section right now. So under the manufacturing section, it allows as a conditional use candy and other confectionery products. So someone could manufacture candy. The same wording is in the retail section. So you could sell candy, you could make candy. My thought was, would it be better for the Lindon Village zone to maybe incorporate those two together so that, you'd have a storefront or something like that. You could do some small manufacturing with a storefront.
I can see somebody who does chocolates or,
Yeah,
something like that.
yeah.
And that would be great. That would be great in that zone.
So I think kind of combining those a little bit as well.
So would that be making like a whole new use? Are you saying, so that this would probably be a no, just to manufacture candy, but there'd be a candy with a storefront that would be a P or a C?
That's right. Yeah, what I would probably do is I would go back and in this ordinance right here, we'll list those uses a little more specifically, what's prohibited and what's allowed.
Okay.
Rather than, and we won't be changing the table. We'll just be in this 1748 making changes or with additions or.
So could we, in this 1748, say it's prohibited without a storefront?
That's right. Yep,
Okay.
that's what I would do. Let's see, breweries. These are really popular in a lot of developments with a restaurant. So it currently allows a restaurant. You can do a brewery with a maximum of 1,000 square feet if you have a restaurant. I don't know if 1,000 square feet is enough to do it's not very big.
Not really.
Most of them are quite a bit larger than have a restaurant on the side. that, if, I can research that and see, but just wondering if that's a change you're okay.
Yeah, I look at something
Moving
like
it.
Strap Tank, they make their own, you know, they're substantially larger in order to be able to have the people and still have, I'm just thinking of all their vats and stuff are pretty good sized.
They are.
1,000 square feet isn't much.
And we want to attract restaurants to that 700 North Corridor, and that might be one of them, so, okay,
Well, if it's gonna be in conjunction with a restaurant, it needs to be
Yes.
a lot bigger. Because
yes,
the restaurant will be 3,000 square feet.
yeah, yep. Let's see, so this one, building material, equipment, supplies, and hardware. To me, there's, like, let's say there was a Lowe's or that wanted to come in. I would probably categorize a Lowe's more under this home improvement center
Yep.
rather than a building material and equipment supply and hardware.
Right.
So that was one I was proposing to strike, was that building material one, and knowing that a Lowe's or something like that would come under home improvement centers.
Yeah, I would strike that one, just because it would confuse people as to what we're trying to accomplish there.
Yeah.
Yep.
Flea market, that seems antiquated to me. I don't really know of any flea markets that still happen. So I know they do like some indoor swap meets up in Salt Lake County and West Valley, but I don't know of anybody that does flea markets anymore.
But would that prevent a like farmer's market? Is farmer's market a flea market? I don't know what the definition of a flea market.
The farmer's market is 2 down. I was curious about the difference between the two, maybe.
Okay,
I can think of two concepts in Orem where they have individual, where they're renting sort of booth space and they're selling, there's an antique store and they have a 10 by 10 spot. And
Yeah.
so that's sort of a flea market. There's actually another one too in South Orem that, I don't know if they're still operational or not, but they make hand goods and things like that, and they rent space out within the larger leased unit. So, and I like those concepts. I think those are neat. I think that's kind of flea market in my mind, but.
I'm not sure what the definition of flea market is.
And maybe Brittany and I can do some more research on that. And there's another one here I want to, very similar use that I want to bring up as well. It's similar to that. So maybe we look at what's more the modern category of that now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Did that one come up because there's been interest expressed, or no?
No, it just seems antiquated to me, and so I was like, okay, we don't even define, a lot of these we don't even define, and so I'm like, what is a flea market? So, that's kind of like that membership lodging, I don't even know we don't have a definition for that, so, and so this standard land use table is something we probably should go through, outside of the Lindon Village zone at some point, so,
I see a flea market as similar to a farmer's market. So maybe if we just change the terminology on that.
yeah.
Yeah, probably
'cause
worth looking up the definition and.
We all
Or
know that
even
we go to
combined
farmer's
it with
market.
farmer's market.
We all know we go to farmer's markets, so it's not just produce there. So it's sort of a flea market atmosphere to begin with.
Yeah, like I have a sister-in-law that goes thrifting and buys stuff and then sells it in that little booth like Jared's talking about.
The farmhouse peddler is what the one in Orem
I
is,
see.
280 South.
I've been there, yeah.
It's cute. I think it's
Yeah,
really
it's
neat,
fun.
actually.
Yeah, so maybe there's a more modern term for what that's called.
The skating rink in Orem. I think there's a Napa there, maybe. And it's cool. I like it. It's kind of fun.
So this one, excuse me, I needed some feedback. Let me go back up to the top here. So the current Lindon Village zone prohibits motor vehicles, trucks, and marine dealerships, both used and new.
Okay.
so this one, right now, it allows as a conditional use motorcycles, personal ATV, personal watercraft, snowmobiles, sales and service.
If you think about like a Monarch Honda or something like that.
Yeah,
That's no different than the other. I don't
but
know.
one, you can't do marine. It prohibits marine businesses. But this one allows personal watercraft. And so is that different than a marine type use? So,
I guess that depends on showroom space.
yeah,
If you can adequately showcase their product inside versus having
and
a,
maybe
with a
that's,
marine, it's gotta be outside, 90% of it's outside.
Yeah, I'm not sure that's a use that would be attractive in that location, but
yeah, I don't know either. Where it conflicts between marine and watercraft, I just wanted to make sure, are we okay with this use being in there?
Why would you be okay with that and not a new car dealership?
And that was my other,
I think they're the same.
I agree, I think they're
Seems
the
like
same.
it to me too.
I see them as the same.
And I guess I'm not sure why we would prohibit a new car dealership.
Well, it doesn't fit the Lindon Village vision that was previously,
Doesn't it?
No,
not the architectural
village and
renderings
the-
that I've seen.
Well, some of the uses that we're agreeing to, I think, are not as classy and don't produce anywhere near the tax revenue that new car dealership does. I don't know. I'm just wondering why.
I think, well, for me, maybe I'll say it that way, for me, it comes down to creating that, that central, and it's not central to the core of Lindon, but the meeting place, the gathering place.
Well, yeah, but we're talking
And-
about the whole strip of Pacific
Oh.
North, not just the village, right?
right. Well, that
thought we were
whole
talking about-
corridor.
The whole corridor.
Yeah, I mean, I certainly like the sales tax aspect of a car dealership, but for me, that just doesn't seem to fit in what we've been trying to accomplish down there. But something like if there's a certain brand of a motorcycle or something like that is, I could see a cool showroom in that where it's all inside.
Yeah.
I think something like that would be kind of cool.
I can see that.
Indoor on there.
Could we stipulate any of these uses would be indoor uses, and then that would
Good.
limit it to more the,
Indoor only,
Yeah.
limited to showroom or something.
I mean,
I mean, I'm like Rob, what we need to thank every time we drive by our dealerships down by Home Depot.
Yeah.
For putting us on the map for having an overage of sales tax revenue.
The other thing I like about a car dealerships is they're easily converted to something more
Yeah,
dense.
yep.
Tesla did come to us before they went to Pleasant Grove, and because our ordinance said no, I'm like, I can get this changed in 30 days. No, but they said, no, we're gonna go to Pleasant Grove because your ordinance did say no, but, so. Okay, we'll add that to indoor. Again, this is tires and batteries, that's already removed. Gasoline stations with or without a store. This, I think, should probably be defined, because right now someone could just do gasoline pumps down there, wouldn't have to have a store. So maybe it should be clarified that you can't do standalone pumps unless it's associated with a
Yeah, big
business.
box or something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like Costco does those, Smith's
Exactly.
does those,
Yep.
those types of things.
So long as it includes diesel pumps, we should put in
Yes,
there.
more
Alright.
diesel pumps.
All right. Again, I don't know why it brings up marine craft and accessories again. Maybe we say indoors on that as well.
Why the redundancy?
Yeah, I'm not sure. And that's something we should go through this whole code again because that applies to different sections of the city. Jeweler and gold, silver dealers, those are typically your pawn shops, that I'm aware of. That was one I was thinking of striking out. The other one's secondhand merchants. This was one that I had in mind originally, that I thought it was more of a pawn shop type use, but I was reminded
NPS.
by others, but yeah, that, you know, there's all the secondhand clothing stores that my daughters love to go to, you know, and so that might need to be tightened up a little bit on secondhand merchandise as well, so.
What?
To make sure that it, you know, it's not a pawn shop going in, so.
So what's replacing jeweler, gold and silver? That's just redundant somewhere? Because we wouldn't mind having that, jewelers or
Right.
gold retailers down there.
But this is different, this is one, they typically only buy gold and silver, is the way I
Where it
understand
says
it.
jeweler,
Yeah.
that kinda indicates it could be, a shop that kids go to buy their diamonds when they get married, doesn't it? Jeweler or,
And maybe it needs to be a jewelry store,
Yeah.
you know, instead of gold and silver, cause that,
And I don't know that gold and silver, if a place to go in and a small business there that wants to sell, is a place you go to buy your gold bullion or whatever. I don't know why that would be
yeah.
a not permitted.
It's been a
use.
little while, but at least in Salt Lake County, there were a lot of gold dealers popping up.
Yeah.
And they were a little shady.
But if you eliminate that, then Morgan Jewelers couldn't be there.
Right,
The Shane Company
See,
at the
that-
corner
Shane
of 700 North and,
yeah, so
maybe
we'd probably
just-
just change that to jewelry,
Or
yeah,
maybe we just say,
jewelers or some,
not a pawn shop.
yeah, just put in parens, no pawn,
we can do that,
yep.
okay. So that's what I'd do for both of those in green. Newspaper, magazine, that's antiquated, there's really not, newspaper, magazine, and video rental stores anymore. The last Blockbuster just closed. The other one, hay, grains, and feed. Now this would be different than an IFA. This would be if you're just selling those agricultural products. And so that doesn't fit in down there. A nursery, it probably would want it associated with something like a Lowe's or Home Depot or Lindon Nursery or something like that, where instead of just greenhouses out there.
Standalone nursery now,
Yeah.
yeah.
There's just a few more.
Oh, you could have a pretty sharp place.
What's that?
I mean, under nursery. Spring Gardens, or what's it called over here on 12th?
Oh,
yeah.
It
Sun-
is,
Yeah.
Sunset or sunrise? Sun River?
Sun River Gardens, that's pretty sharp.
Yeah, but that has a retail with it. Right, but I
So
think
they
what
would
he's saying,
be-
we
they
don't
would
want
be
just a
eliminated.
nursery without a retail
No,
establishment.
but they would be eliminated if he eliminates that.
Right, but I think what he's saying is let's put it, that it needs some type of retail with it.
or a nursery outlet or something where they're not necessarily growing stuff there, I don't know.
I mean, that's,
Yeah.
I don't think anybody would probably wanna buy that land just to grow
It would
stuff
be
on
a-
it, but.
It'd be too expensive.
But I do see the.
River's too expensive.
I mean,
That's true. Yeah, $15 a square foot's too expensive to put greenhouses on, but, yeah. So laundry, we have laundering and dry cleaning services and laundromats. I was going to strike laundromats, and still keep laundry services and dry cleaning. I just don't see a laundromat going
No.
No,
It
down.
depends on the density we end up down there. You know, it depends on what we end up with down there. To have a nice clean laundromat, which is a small business that just has I mean, I don't know.
I would think anything Ivory's building, for example, would have laundry
Yeah,
inside the
hookups in
unit.
it,
but
yeah.
If it didn't, then I would say, yeah, that would be a convenient amenity to have, but I think anything that's gonna be, all of those Pleasant Grove ones along the freeway, I'm guessing those are gonna have laundry inside them, but I could be wrong.
We'll have individual.
I think we strike that for
Yeah.
Lindon Village.
Okay. And then chimney sweep, I don't know why that's so specific in there, but I laugh at that one
Goes back to the wood burning stove days.
And now you can't, you can barely ever burn.
Another big one to talk about is wedding event centers. If you'd want to just allow an indoor, or how you would like to handle that in the Lindon Village zone.
Well, there's already one there, just, there's the event center just past the zone. There's an event center sitting right
Oh,
there.
yes.
There is.
There's one already there.
Kind of a
Um,
reception
and-
center.
And how many do we have in the city now? 11 or
Well,
something?
we've got like 8, I think,
Yeah.
yeah.
I don't know if that's the appropriate place for one of those down in,
But they don't have an outdoor venue, do they? With that?
I think that one's indoor.
Uh-huh.
I think it's indoor.
It's an indoor
I mean, are
venue.
you opposed to indoor, or? The one issue we always have is parking. With any one of these, we have parking issues.
And that is a location that I think would bother less people
Yeah, an event center, yeah.
than some of these others that we have.
Because I think of Bella Vista that was up at the top of.
Yeah, across the street here.
Across the street here on top of Premier Family Medical. You know, that seemed like a nice, you know, I mean, it was all indoors.
Nice.
And the parking worked, cause it was usually in the evening when all the office uses weren't being
Yeah.
used.
So I think if I'd probably specify indoors on those, you
Okay.
know. That,
We could change it to a conditional use too, just so we could
That's a
evaluate the
good
parking
idea.
aspect.
Yeah, and, you know, because then it says, like, if we add that there, that when it says they can't be located within 500 feet, well, we might have to adjust that if that's, if we're allowing them in there in for example, an evening use.
Would really only be able to go on the north side of 700 North,
Correct,
Yeah.
yes.
which probably would be the best
Yeah,
yeah.
location anyways.
I think incentivizing some sort of a conference space would be nice down in that area. And so we think about these event centers as wedding reception areas, but, you know, the realtors get together at various different venues, and some of them are better than others. And I think a location like that would actually do quite well for conferences to come in.
I agree. Okay, we're almost done.
Yeah, and I guess that's just standalone. So like if there was a hotel or something there, I'm assuming their ballroom or whatever could be rented out for a wedding.
Yep.
That wouldn't be prohibited.
No. Equipment rental and leasing, that's already prohibited in that zone. Auto lube and tune-up as well. Automobile wash, that's one I want to talk about for a little bit.
Would love to remove that.
We do have, you know, this is one I've thought about a lot. You know, our general plan talks about making sure we have a good, varied economic base. And so we do have 2 of them here in Lindon. We have, you know, there is one on Quick Quack on 1600, not in Lindon, but very close by. There are issues, we do get issues with tag and go. The neighbor complains about the noise from the vacuums and the motors. We haven't really had many issues at ours with traffic, but there have been issues at others I've seen. So those have been some of my concerns about the auto wash. They do bring a lot of traffic. We do not get a lot of sales tax. From these, you could count on basically 2 hands how much sales tax we get a month from these businesses. But they do drive a lot of traffic as well. I did meet with a real estate agent today that represents Quick Quack. They do want to go in that corridor. They're at the intersection at the new light on the north side. And so that he expressed his concerns to me that he really wants to go in that corridor. So I think that's something we have to balance, you know, our economic diversity, noise, traffic, how best is that something you want in the corridor? I believe, Randy, you might talk to this when it's time as well. So that's something that I've had a lot of feedback from in the last 8 hours. So Just wanted to bring that to your attention.
So you're showing it as struck out. Are you now changing?
I'm not, I'm just wanted to let you know that, I am receiving feedback that businesses do want to go in there as car washes, but here are the concerns I have.
It's interesting because, for example, if Quick Quack, say we had a high-end big box retailer on the south side, and if they wanted to put gas pumps and a car wash, we probably wouldn't prohibit it.
I mean, you look at Costco and Orem, they've got gas pumps and a car wash there as well, and the lines, it has to be done in a way that the lines don't get in the way. And some car washes around here, the line to get into the car wash is problematic.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
My thoughts are there's a lot of businesses that we would prefer.
That we prefer over them, but
My biggest concern is just the noise being close to the neighborhood. As
What
long as
neighborhood?
yeah, if it's on the north side, I
Yeah.
don't have
Yeah,
that
I mean, I
concern
can-
there.
If it's a commercial neighborhood, it's not as big a deal.
Yeah. That's interesting.
Yeah, what if we put the same 500-foot restriction or something on automatic, which then puts it just on the north side?
Yeah.
Kind of like that,
well,
we
it
saw
just,
in that
what
other
I
one.
say, but just puts it on the north side unless a big box retailer wants to put it on the south side where they
Well,
got the depth.
If they do, that depth, they could then probably go in the front of that, which would still put it 500 feet from residential. That might be a solution, is to put a distance that has to be from residential.
I like that idea.
Yeah, but that intersection they're talking about, it's pretty prime intersection for a variety of businesses.
I was just measuring real quick how far. So you're 332 feet from the tag and go to the home that I get complaints about all the time. From their closest vacuum equipment that's right here to their home is 333 feet. And I met with the gentleman yesterday again about noise, and so
Well, that green space is residential, right?
it is. All this is residential in the green. Yep.
So someday that'll be,
Yeah.
potentially could be infilled.
So maybe with the 500-foot buffer, you don't think that'd be sufficient based on the current complaints you're receiving?
I mean, if you had 700 north separating that, I mean, that would help block noise as well. But again, it's just determined, is that the use also you want to see in the 700 north corridor? Can it be mitigated being on the north side?
Well, I see car wash uses in a lot of commercial developments. So maybe we just leave it as conditional use.
Conditions on it,
Maybe a separation distance as well?
I think so.
They are convenient. I don't have anything wrong with but every time I see a new one go up, I just am like,
Another one?
It just seems like there's so
I
many.
mean, I guess we're just feeling a little
There's so
exhausted
many,
about them
and-
around
and
the
it-
county.
If it really doesn't produce tax revenue for the city or add to the Lindon Village,
It'll produce a little bit of, it'll produce property tax and very minimal.
but not sales tax, so then you have to look at is
Is
that the
that
best
because
use of
they're
that
using
land?
a corporate headquarter as their point of sales possibly?
No, it's just because memberships, you don't pay a sales tax on a membership. So basically, all we're getting sales tax
Gotta
off
make
is a
sure
little
we're not
tree,
Charging us a sales tax on our
air
membership.
fresheners.
Oh, really? So they don't make it on the $35 a month I'm paying?
No. No, because that's a service.
Can we look and say, well, is that the best use of that land for the city? I mean, can we ask that question?
Well,
This would be the time to
that's the
ask.
time to do that, because if it's on here and we allow it, then we can't
Right.
say no when they walk in and say, we want it.
Just my personal preference is, I think there are businesses that would be much more profitable for the city and also create a better image on that corridor. And you wouldn't have the traffic issues that those produce, and,
I think it might be more difficult to get a developer to come in and say, we're gonna do the whole north side. But-
right.
But we're gonna say, well, but you have a car wash right in the middle of your whole north side. That might really mess with the developer who's
Yeah.
trying to
it
come in
kinda-
and give us a cohesive north side.
Well, we're not just gonna have a car wash come to us. It's in 5-acre parcels, isn't it?
I mean, right now, and, you know, you've got the new signal in right here, there's a fast food, oh, sorry, you can't see what I'm pointing at. You know, you got the new light right here, you've got a fast food restaurant that's looking at going here, and then you'd have the car wash that would potentially go here.
Well, see, didn't we put these into 5-acre parcels?
Yes, so they would have to come up with a plan for the
They would
rear
take-
portion
The
as well.
rest of the 5 acres.
Yep.
That seems like that would be difficult for them to do.
I don't know, we haven't had those discussions yet.
I could see their desire to go there, because since there really isn't any car washes up in the PG interchange area,
Yes,
right?
as they explained to me today, there's nothing on an east-west corridor like this, everything's on State Street. There's nothing on an east-west corridor.
And it is a quick quack, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, but the thing is if that was an allowable use and then they pulled out, then we've still opened that up for car washes to be an allowable use.
Yeah.
So that concerns me.
So you don't like car washes,
I like car washes, just not on that corridor.
really?
Well, I guess, Mike, we're reviewing this. They haven't made application yet, right?
I have made an application. That's-
So
That's why
is it grandfathered in at this point then?
it's not, because they haven't filed any applications.
So we'd be sort of pulling it out from underneath them.
No, I mean, I've given a 30-day, no, not quite 30-day, 25-day notice on it, so.
I'm trying to think of other corridors. Not every one that I think of's got at least 1 or 2 or maybe 3 car washes on it.
But are those
I don't
ones
think
that
they're
also have
objectionable.
car dealerships?
No,
No?
look at 2100 North in Lehigh. It goes out to Redwood Road from the freeway. There's
Okay.
3 car washes on that corridor.
Would-
There's no car dealerships.
I'm afraid that when we say,
Pioneer Crossing has one, doesn't it? I think it
does.
And we don't have to make a decision right now. This is just something we're discussing, and we can still hold a public hearing on it, and
I would just be concerned that if we say no car washes, then when the big box retailer or anybody comes in and wants to do something, we've sort of stuck ourselves.
I mean, they
on
want
the
to have a
south
car wash in conjunction
In
with their
conjunction with their
business.
gas station or whatever. You know,
Yeah.
we could be boxing this in, which would really,
Well, this is the corner where the big box would go. That's the thing, is that if we put one on the other side, I don't know if they'll put a second one across the street from it.
Well, it seems like anymore, because of all the popularity of car washes and whatnot, I don't know that I've been seeing them incorporated with big boxes. Big boxes are letting, I mean, Costco's got nothing to do with the ones that are
it's a
next door
quick
to
clap.
them.
Yeah, it's a quick clap.
You know,
yeah.
they don't own them. Smith's, they used to put a few in, but, lately, they're limited to gas pumps, it seems like, mostly.
I'd
Well,
agree with
Smith's
that.
has just redone their whole site, though.
when Costco was interested in this site, they wanted a car wash
Yeah, they put it in
at some
all their
point.
deals.
They wanted it to reserved that the city would allow them to put a car wash in, but not allow another car wash within,
Oh, see,
I
That's
can't remember
interesting,
what
because
radius
they
it
don't have
was.
any in the state so far.
Yeah, it's not something they're doing yet, but
Yeah.
they said they planned on looking at that in the future to go along with their fuel pumps.
yeah, so that's, I think we just gotta be careful there to exclude it.
Yeah.
Um,
But that's also something, if a big box did come in, you could, you're gonna have a development agreement with them, you could
Yeah.
write that into a development agreement.
Yeah,
Couldn't you
as
have
well.
that in
Okay.
conjunction with a big box? I mean, that they're allowed if they're in conjunction with a
Yeah,
big box retailer?
you could,
So that wouldn't just eliminate it.
Well, but why would you do that?
but,
I don't know, I just, you can get overrun with car washes.
well,
We're
let's
not
think about that one.
Yeah.
And, we go
I'm
back.
not opposed to, but anyway.
if it's there, it's there, I mean, yeah.
The last couple were small engine repair, that doesn't fit in that corridor. Reupholstering, doesn't fit in my opinion. The last one, and for our discussion, was universities and colleges. The reason why I took that out is usually those don't pay property taxes. They're tax exempt, and so,
Even a private university like Norda Medical School
Or
or,
Phoenix,
those probably do,
yeah.
because they probably lease a building or something.
and so, and that's the thing where they might come in
Yeah,
and do on, when a developer builds a big building and says, hey, we want to do a small campus for Norda or
Yeah,
University of Phoenix. So I'd hesitate to say no. How about no non-revenue generating, colleges.
they are a
or-
conditional use, so maybe we just keep that as a conditional
Yeah.
use.
Yeah,
Okay,
You might have hair colleges and, all kinds of things.
okay. So those were the main items I wanted to go through.
So this is just a discussion item tonight.
Yeah,
right?
so what I will do is prepare an ordinance for you to review next time, and then we can continue to have some discussion on that,
And then it will go to the city council. Right.
whenever you make your decision.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
I was just glad to see that the fish hatchery was a no. That was,
Sorry, you know what, I did,
wait a minute, what if it's a goldfish hatchery?
oh, there you go.
sorry, I forgot. There were a few others. There was zoos, I took zoos out, dance clubs, stadiums, arenas, field house, amusement park, golf driving range.
Wait, so dance club you put as a conditional, or?
I was gonna strike that one. I guess I'm a little jaded, coming from South Salt Lake for 13 years.
But you're
dan- a
thinking
dance club.
clubs as
Every
as a
dance club
nightclub.
had a shooting or stabbing.
You're thinking of a nightclub,
More of a
I'm thinking
nightclub.
more of a nightclub.
a dance studio that teaches young girls how to dance.
And I would say that's a different use than a dance club or music video.
There's actually a lot of college-age kids that are really getting into line dancing and country swing dancing, and, I don't know, that's a place to gather.
It is.
That brings people in. Yeah. Nightclub maybe does have a certain connotation, but I'd be open to somebody coming in with a plan on that, but,
And someone can always come in and propose to amend the ordinance. If they bring in a
Well,
good
and that's-
use, they can,
That one's conditional too.
yeah. But remember, conditional, if you can
If they can mitigate it, we have to
mitigate it,
approve
we have to allow it, so.
We can't be arbitrary.
I see golf driving ranges, with the advent of all the indoor golf driving ranges and stuff, is that necessarily should that necessarily be a prohibited use? If you say, if you change that to indoor as
Indoor.
conditional rather than just eliminate it, because I could see that could go in with, like we're doing a sports complex, they could choose to do an
Yeah.
indoor driving range as a part of that. With all the electronic driving ranges that people are now putting in their backyards or wherever. So
And I
I'd say-
think when this was written, it was anticipating everything outdoors. and
Yeah, so I'd say
that-
indoor is okay.
So probably same as tennis, indoor tennis.
Yep, indoor is fine.
Yeah.
And roller skating, I don't know, I actually, at one point, we actually talked about, for roller skating, we actually talked about, on the south side in the public area, there might be a ice skating rink, seasonal ice skating rink or something. So I wouldn't wanna lock that down and say, no, they can't do that. But that would have to definitely be conditional use.
Okay,
That's what I thought on the music venue one as well, is like, we had discussed the potential for there to be a city stage of
Right.
sorts.
Yep, I agree.
and, yeah.
I
and
don't know
it's-
how that works.
That's a little different than, these are for commercial licensed businesses.
Yeah,
That makes sense.
no water slides, dang it.
Yeah, water slides, some of these I just don't see going in, so.
No,
The indoor gun range is already prohibited, swimming pools, water slides, and then agricultural production. Yeah, that's what Ron's doing now, so.
We got one coming.
Ready Gunner is great,
Well,
you
but
know.
they're getting ready to open the new
Oh, the airsoft.
air one,
air.
yeah.
What is that? We can't hear
We have
you.
an air gun range.
The one off State Street's moving
one we
to,
approved.
Down in our commercial zone.
Yeah, we approved that. Well, a few
I
months
was
ago.
saying Ready Gunner, I think I think they run a very nice
And
outfit
it's all
there. It's
indoors.
all indoors.
I've seen a lot of indoor really
Yeah.
nice
But then you
indoor
might
gun
have
ranges.
some people that are concerned about people bringing guns in and out of a building all the time.
Right, in and out of the commercial area.
And
It is a
that
s-
can be concerning for a lot of people, and I get that.
Okay, well, I'll put this together and then we'll have a good discussion about it in a public hearing at the November 11th meeting.
the neighborhood down there.
But the public, sorry, I'm sure there's a few that would like to talk on this topic as well. so.
So let's first, any more questions or discussion from the commission before we ask if there's any public input?
Well, we do have some public here.
So, anything else you want to ask Mike or anything before we?
Good.
Okay. This isn't a formal public hearing, but it is a discussion item where we'd love to get input from the public. So if you would like to voice or address the commission with any proposals or concerns, please come up, state your name. I think there's a place to write your name so we get it spelled correctly in the record. And we'll be happy to hear what you have to say.
Let's see here. Okay, my name is Randy Park, and I represent Clearwing LC, who has the property right there on 700 North on Anderson Boulevard. And we've received a letter of intent from Culver's Restaurant, and then in conjunction with that, we've also received a letter of intent from Quick Quack. And so would actually have those two. Culver's would be right on the corner of Anderson Boulevard. Quick Quack would be right next to it. There'd be a road feeding both, because over all the traffic that Quick Quack brings on a daily basis adds to, and the reason they'd want to be together is because it benefits Culver's. They do a lot more business with 25,000 cars a day coming through that kind of a process. I think, from a different perspective, my background, I used to own Park Sportsman and Arms, so I get retail, I get traffic, and so the thing I appreciate with Quick Quacks is they run, I believe, the best car wash deal that is out there. They're first class, and I think it would be very beneficial to all of the homes and the residents in that area that are going to be on the south side of 700 North to be able to get in there and quickly get your car washed, and it would be an added benefit rather than a deterrent. But that's my perspective.
Where my home's situated, I'd probably use it on the way to the freeway.
Oh, I think it'd be a good location.
And Culver's, you feel okay about that?
Yeah, I think Culver's, you know, they are on 800 North in Orem, and they amaze me how much business they do. Great product, a proven product over time. And so I think that would be a great asset to the community and creates tax revenue and revenue dollars for the city.
My only question there is if it's too close to the other one, but that's for them to decide, right? I mean, that's for
I don't know.
Culver's to decide, you know,
Yeah,
because,
If what's
ultimately,
too close.
well, they just have the Culver's in Orem and the one in Lehigh, you know, this is in the middle.
Yeah.
You know, are they gonna, cause it was interesting to me to see that the one in Heber closed, you know, and that didn't make
That-
it. And so that would be my only concern, but that's a business decision
yeah,
for
I guess,
Culver's.
yeah,
I
that's
think it's a.
ultimately what it comes down to, is a business is not going to, they are anal about determining what sites work, because they're investing millions and millions of dollars, and so they look at that in depth to be able to determine how close it can be before doing the other one. And based on their statistics, they think it's a great location.
I know.
And I talked to an owner that owns several of them and asked him what happened in Heber, up
Yeah,
in Heber.
what did happen?
And he
'Cause
said,
that shocked
he
me.
said 100% poor management.
Well, they can't survive in a smaller community as much as they can in a larger.
So in fact, he even looked at scooping it up. You know,
It's got a great product.
They got
use
the-
that one over there on 8th North all the time.
They have the best fish and chips going.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
Show us exactly, can you, Mike, on where the letter intent of
Yeah, you
intent
can kind of.
Yeah,
he's
so you've got the new
arrow
light
there.
right here. This is 700 North.
Right.
So Culver's would go here and then Quick Quack right next to them on the west.
And that we should take, eliminate any concerns of the traffic coming in there, because they're not pulling in directly off of 700 North.
So they would turn
They're
right and then go in.
Yeah, making a right and going in there.
that was my next question. Yeah, the access would all be from the feeder road, not from 700 North, right?
Yeah.
I'm guessing Utah wouldn't give any access that close to an intersection.
No, all the accesses into the different properties are set.
Yeah.
Those are already established. Now, they will be responsible, and I don't know how they'll work this out, but they've got to run that road all the way through to Pleasant Grove. So that's something they're gonna have to figure out too, that they've got to put a pretty good sized public street through there, so.
So if there was like a Culver's and a Quick Quack that were to come in there, that is a 5-acre parcel though,
Yeah.
and they would have to plat out the rest of the parcel, right?
They've got to figure it out, yes. And the other thing too, I showed them today, they've got to figure out how to connect the other properties along that corridor, like with the sports facility and things like that, so that they can go across east to west, to have a road through there.
And while they wouldn't take up a full 5 acres, they take up about 3.5 acres thereabout, in between the two paths.
From what I
Right,
understand,
but the ordinance
they-
requires they have to develop the whole, come up with a plan to develop the whole 5 acres.
And, you know, they talked to Joel, and I think they would work through that, because there's the other part, possibly, that Browns that are buying and putting in the complex behind there, they might flip to the other side, to the east side of that, and then that would fit within the criteria, I believe, that you're putting out in 5 acres, then that whole thing would be developed at that time.
So how much of this 5 acres would these two businesses take up? That would-
About 3 acres, roughly 3.5.
Yep. I think it'd help seed the 700 North corridor to just get some of these kind of things happening, don't you, Rob?
Yeah, I do.
Well, and I think a restaurant next to the sports complex like we talked about, and then they're talking about putting another little restaurant pad in their complex, right? That's gonna start,
One begins
that
the
could
other.
start
And there's discussion of a hotel in that similar,
And I don't even know if the sports complex is going in. He has not made a word to anybody since the last meeting, so,
oh, really?
so.
So-
That was the
Sounded like
question
he's
I
ready to
had
go.
for tonight.
We've
Yeah.
got a lot of residential down there, but.
yeah. Okay, well, thank you for that, as we
Uh,
look at.
Randy?
Oh, you got more questions?
The quick wax here that we may ask them to temper their colors a little bit,
Temper their what? Oh,
like they did in Alpine.
oh, okay,
Okay. We'll
Not saying we are, but
yeah.
definitely put this in our considerations as we look at this.
All right, thank
So,
you.
anybody else that would like to come and address the commission about any of these issues? Okay, anything else from staff? or- Oh, there we go, sorry. Didn't scan that side good enough.
Ryan goaded me into it, so. My name's Dane Peterson. I live in the old Fieldstone home neighborhood that's a little bit further west.
Over here.
Yep. I'm kind of a Scrooge on this project. I don't like it going into pretty much my backyard, but
on the whole corridor.
whatever, yeah. My personal opinion, I would love to not see a car wash go in there. Not just the noise, I just think it's kind of trashy, and I don't think any of you would want a car wash next to your house either. Maybe I'm wrong. Just a personal opinion, I don't like the idea. I think it's not a great image. There is one on your way to Macy's. It's pretty close to there. It's I can't remember what it's called. But it's not too far away for anybody in that area that wants a car wash. And again, there's a lot of them here in Utah Valley going up everywhere. So that's me. I'm probably in the minority, but I just wanted to voice my opinion.
Is there anything else that we talked about that struck you one way or another? Just curious, what, as we're going through these possible uses on that whole corridor, was there anything else that struck you as, that you'd prefer not to be there? Or
That's a brave question. There's a lot that I wouldn't prefer to be there, but I've already lost that battle.
What would you
So,
prefer to be?
I guess, what would you prefer? Maybe we'll go there.
I would love it if it was just residential all the way through there. I know that, tax revenue is important, and with houses, all you get is property taxes, and I get that. I'm a small town boy. I don't mind traveling. Our closest grocery store growing up was at least 15 minutes away, 30 minutes to a nearest Walmart, which is not bad. So to me, it doesn't bother me to travel to go somewhere. I get that's not everybody's opinion in Utah. I would rather just see residential, but again,
Thank
I
you for
understand.
answering my question. I guess with that, what type of residential?
homes, single-family homes.
Okay, that's just, I think there's a lot of feeling of that way in Linden, right? And that's
Yeah.
the way it is, so,
Along there.
I appreciate your opinion. Okay. And I guess that's currently a use that's not permitted, as we went through it, right? Any residential is currently not permitted in that zone, but that's. So.
Hi, I'm Terry Radstone, and I'm probably going to mirror a lot of what he has to say. Well, I would love to have a quick whack super close to my home. I don't want one there. And it's because of the traffic. We've already got a lot of traffic. As that builds in, I come from Los Angeles, in an area that was just like this when I was a kid that grew up, that built up to the point that it was just miserable. There's just so much because it kept building up. And I'm like looking at this going, this is exactly what's gonna happen again with those cars lined up. And I don't think it's we wanna make this a beautiful place, this corridor. I don't think a quick quack's the thing. As much as I love them, I love their bubbles, I don't want it there. And I'm with him too. I would love to see residential go in there. I understand there's a balance between the city needs to make revenue, so we're gonna have to compromise, but would love to see some single-family homes more go in there, so.
Just with that, do you think people if we go single-family homes in Lindon, that they're gonna be fairly expensive, would want to live on that busy of a street? Do you think that's conducive to the single-family home environment?
I don't know, and I hear what you're saying on that, and it's a good consideration. I think there could be a compromise. I don't know if this idea of a community center has disappeared. I know at the last meeting I was in, it was talking about this high-density housing, and I know the neighborhood we're in, we're absolutely not. We came in here loving to see our mountains, and we have people that are living against, they're gonna see nothing but a brick wall, and I just don't think that's what anybody wants. Again, and I know everybody I've talked into the neighborhood understands the balance. The city needs to make some money. We need to make good choices here, but.
And I think what needs to be, people need to be aware of too, is for the city of Lindon, that's fairly high density.
Right.
That entire development
That's
is
the
fairly high
highest
density.
density in the entire city. is
Right,
the
and
highest density.
if we allowed that based on, we're at least gonna get some,
Some stuff going on here. And that's the compromise I think we know. So we're just hoping that we can get things in there where we feel like, I think my concern is that is going to become so dense with traffic up and down 700 that it's gonna just be, already just at certain times getting to the freeway, you better plan on 20 minutes to get there because it's that crowded. And then now we add a quick quack, we add a whole bunch of stores. It's gonna be, I think, even more crowded. And there's no way to widen that street, so, that I can see. So that's my concern, is so whatever goes in there, if it's the quick quack is what I'm really concerned about, because it is those cars. And when you said 2,500 cars a day just going to the quick quack, I'm like, yeah, it's great for Culvers, but not so great for traffic. So I don't know if we can find a compromise there. A jewelry store seems like a real high revenue thing for me. But anyway, that's all I have to say.
Thank you so much for
Thank you.
addressing us. Anyone else that would like to come and address the commission? Okay. Any other discussion or questions that the commission has on this item? Do we think we've got a good grasp of what we need to think about for our next time when there's going to be a public hearing? So this has been a great time to discuss. Like we said, we're not going to make any decisions today because this is just a work session. And it was advertised as such. So, okay. Well, then we'll move on to item 6. Which, this looks like it's just a presentation. I don't know if there'll be a discussion afterwards or not, but the presentation on, and discussion, I guess if I read of the Lindon City Commercial Design Standards.
Yeah, so I've asked Brittany to, for this meeting and our next meeting, depending on how much time we have at the next one as well, but to give a presentation on our commercial design standards. I've asked her to look at streetscape for this one and site design, and then next time we'll talk about architecture. I think it's good for us to remember as we start to get projects in now, like the sports facility, hopefully, and maybe Culvers and maybe Quick Quack, to look at the streetscape, what our ordinance requires, what the architectural requires. So I think it's good to get these up to speed, and then it also helps Brittany to get to know the commercial design standards well, so.
Just do it this way. Okay, so like Mike had said, we're gonna first do the streetscape, which are things like trees, landscaping, and site furnishings, which helps create consistent visual identity and a more comfortable pedestrian experience. So as we already had gone through some of the uses that would be in the Lindon Village Center, we kind of want to start incorporating what exactly we want to see for these design standards and these types of buildings. Second is the site design. This would be parking, driveways, and circulations, and our goal is to balance convenience and safety while also maintaining the character of the street. We want to think about thoughtful placement of parking, shared access where possible, and strong pedestrian connections throughout each site. So this will in turn just help our commercial areas become attractive, functional, and welcoming for both our drivers and pedestrians. So for the first one is the streetscape. We wanted to look at purpose and design theme. So this is street trees, planter boxes, and landscaping, which are the key elements in defining and enhancing the streetscape. Thank you. This has a consistent design theme using similar plantings, materials, and furnishings, which helps tie together different buildings and creates a unified look. For example, this is an industrial district. What they did here is they created walkable areas for the pedestrians that have these wide sidewalks, but also introducing some of the elements for the industrial area as well. So the
Maybe you've walked this street in San Diego. There's a little street that used to be an old industrial district. They kept some of the machinery and kind of turned it into art and streetscape
Cool.
design.
That was in San Diego? Where? Do you know where?
I took the picture, so.
Little
I'll have
Italy?
What's that?
It might be Old Town, is it?
Yeah, I'll find it.
I'll be curious. That's my beat.
Yeah.
It wasn't there when I left 7 years ago.
Yeah, this is pretty new.
This is pretty fresh concrete, maybe.
Yeah. That was cool.
No.
Not a bunch of feces on it.
Like gravel sidewalks.
So as you can see, the features, they soften the appearance and make the street look a little bit wider, and it makes it more inviting for the pedestrians to kind of walk through. So next we go to landscaping and green buffers. This includes street trees, lawns, shrubs, and ground covers to separate pedestrians from vehicles, and it also adds a sense of seasonal color. We maintain the landscaping regularly to preserve visual quality and safety. Where no landscaped strip exists, we want to add planter boxes or street trees along the sidewalk edge, such as this. This gives the element of those elevated planter boxers, but also allowing there to be some seating, so that way pedestrians can enjoy the environment that they're in.
So what zones do these apply to? I mean, are we forcing this like down in our industrial zone? What zone does this apply to?
It could
This
be.
would apply to our 700 North corridor and our State Street corridor.
So commercial.
Our two commercial zones.
When we were reviewing those for applying those to the rest of Lindon, then as I remember, the city council wanted those applied to Lindon State Street also.
Yes.
Also, we want to use landscape buffers between the sidewalks and parking areas wherever possible. So as you can see for this, this rendering didn't. Do you know how to switch it? Is it? Oh, there it goes. Okay, never mind. So the sidewalk between here, so the streetway, they have that landscape buffer in between the street, the landscape buffer, and then where the pedestrians can sit, but also ride their bike or walk. It has the mural as well. So it creates this completely different environment that the pedestrians can walk through. Next, we go into the decorative elements and furnishings. With this, you could have these covered patio areas as well. It just seems to be lagging. There we go. You could have these covered patios. You could have large pots and planter boxes. We want to encourage color in that area, textures, different facades for the area. The small details in this type of element will help create a more pedestrian-friendly and visually appealing environment. We have the street furnishings as well. We want to use coordinated furnishings such as benches, fences, trash receptacles, bollards, bike racks, and seating to create a cohesive and functional streetscape. So this is also another one, with large planter boxes or large pots as well. And then we have some of these, which is just the little boxes around the trees, but it also provides an area for seating and just, again, the pedestrians to kind of take in the environment. Here-
Quick question, just comment or question,
Yeah,
so I can get this in my mind. It seems as we talk about the 7 North corridor, we're talking about 700 North and the frontage on 700 North, and we're calling that our village area. But then we're also, I hear it referred to as the area where we talked about having more of a town square, and that was called the village area. So as we look at these things, are we talking about this stuff being along the 700 North corridor or in the village square,
It'd be along the corridor,
the whole corridor?
yes.
I like it inside the development, like a Jordan Landing or something like that. They've got interesting chairs to sit on and places to gather and outdoor dining. Some of these concepts you're showing seem to lend itself to that type of a environment.
Yeah, and that, so our ordinance specifically is for State Street and 700 North, but we're supposed to apply it to specific developments.
Yeah.
The best we can. We don't have it set up as a town center area. Maybe that's something we need to consider, is creating an identifiable area.
Well, that's what I was wondering. I think if you have planter boxes and things along the street with traffic going 60 miles an hour, it's not what you're gonna work. It's not gonna work. But if you have it in a town square, then all these things with people riding their bikes and sitting on the benches, and that makes sense to me.
More the interior
Yeah.
profile, correct? But-
Well, like even on the north side, there could be an interior profile, well, not necessarily out on the street, but out on the, if there's front and rear, there might be a walkway between them where the shade and all this
But
stuff.
even like this is something I was trying to get Jason to do on his plaza areas, so people had a place to sit.
Yes,
The ordinance talks about, having planter boxes, and, this is something that could help enhance. So for us reducing his landscaping by 5%, I think it'd be good to have the
Well-
little plaza areas, so people, because those volleyball games and basketball games, you get tired of sitting in there, you need a place to
Yeah.
get outside.
But Mike, because I love this kind of stuff, but with that, we have to take maybe a relook at the percentage of landscape we're requiring. Because this ain't gonna fit we've got vast amount of required landscape in.
who's gonna maintain this?
Yeah, and this, I prefer to go to this. Again, we're gonna be a lot more water wise and to me, I hate going to San Diego anymore because they don't got the water to keep things green down there. The only thing green is around the temple down there. We gotta get to this format and not overwater and this helps us get there, this kind of stuff.
Maybe what we need to do is still require like 20%, but then say you can offset some of that percentage by adding amenities to,
Yeah, but hey,
something like
Rob,
that we could do.
what do you think though,
sense.
what do you think though about what we're talking about, town center stuff down there, and even the idea of 20%?
20% landscaping?
Yeah,
Well,
I'm sure that wouldn't jive at all
town
at a
square,
University Mall.
yeah, in a town square, the landscaping will make it. It really does make it beautiful, makes it a place where people want to sit, eat their lunch, read a book. But again, they're not going to want to do it if traffic's going by 60 miles an hour.
Yeah, out
So,
on the
So you need
highway.
to make
The
it as part of
perimeter.
a-
Yeah, right, you're right.
a complex. Then you have to decide, okay, is this common area? Or is this the developer responsibility? Because it can be very expensive to maintain. Keep that in mind. But I love it. I love it and I like what I'm seeing. But I just wasn't sure if we're talking about doing that down the whole 700 North Corridor. Seems a little bit unrealistic.
Right now, the way the ordinance is written, it's State Street and 700 North.
Yeah.
It's the whole corridor. We haven't designated this as our town center.
Yeah, but
You know, I'd prefer if, you know, at that intersection of 700th and Anderson Boulevard, that's the place
Yeah.
to look at. Are we gonna get that, you know, some of these things, if a Culver's comes in, you know, that's kind of our town center area and where Castlewood is proposing theirs
yeah.
as well.
Well, and I think you can take a position where they do a certain type of landscaping on the streetscape and then a different type of landscaping on the interior and make it a place for people to conjugate and to sit down and eat and whatever.
Yeah, and I think having that mixture, like you were saying, having it a certain way on the road, the main road, you know, nobody is gonna wanna sit there with a car driving
Yeah.
by at 60, but having something where it's mixed use and these different type of details
Mhm.
within, so that way you're getting people in that area, we're creating those gathering places.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like when I was with South Salt Lake, the multifamily projects along that streetcar line, you had to provide an art piece and so they reduced the landscaping and the trade-off was you provided an art piece.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that kind
along
of
the
thought.
trail there, so.
I also think, just another comment is, as, you know, it's always easy to say, okay, you have to have a tree and it has to be every 30 feet or something like that. I think we need to think outside the box maybe and say, okay, if you've got 120 feet of frontage and we want them to have a tree every 30 feet, okay, how many trees is that? And say, okay, that's how many trees you have to plant, but we'll let you clump them and have them maybe plant all your trees in 1/3 of your frontage and have 2/3 open. Because the first thing you did is you get commercial businesses saying, hey, can you cut down that tree? Nobody can see our sign. But there's ways to, you know, to get the same thing, but open it up a little bit.
So this is another example. This is actually a place where you can park your bike. So that way it still is providing kind of like an art type of feel, but kind of also hiding the bikes. So that way you're not running into them, you're not seeing them out. It just provides a little bit more aesthetically pleasing to the eye. Okay, and then we get into the site design. Here we're looking at the parking, driveways, and circulation. Parking lot design, we want landscaping with the shaded trees, low screen walls to soften the appearance of parking lots and buffer them from residences or parks or any of the other surrounding uses. We want at least 20% of the parking lot area that should be landscaped. So from an aerial point of view, it would look something similar to this. It's very aesthetically pleasing. It's not just a heat zone, you know. Including on the perimeter and interior landscape islands. We want trees and lower planting to break up the large asphalt areas. We want to incorporate public art or benches again near the parking, which creates areas to add visual interest and pedestrian comfort as well. We want to keep parking visible from the main building entrances to help with safety and wayfinding. For pedestrian safety and connectivity, we want to separate walkways from the parking with landscape or decorative paving. This is a great example of creating a parking area, but also having pedestrians be safe from you know, the moving vehicles, things like that. And it creates, again, a little bit of a buffer zone between the parking area and where they would walk and feel safe. The crosswalks in these areas should be clearly marked with contrasting pavers or striping. And then we also would like to see some special paving where driveways cross sidewalks. This could alert drivers to the pedestrians so that way they feel a little bit more comfortable being in those areas. We also want to locate the parking lots back from the buildings, which will allow pedestrian zones, walkways, and small gathering spaces. Similar to this picture on the left, it just creates a bigger visual area for pedestrians. They don't have to worry about looking for traffic and crossing and going to another shop on the other side of this plaza. And our final topic would be access and circulation. We want to avoid access through residential areas, but we also want to align driveways with existing access points across the street to reduce conflicts. We want to promote shared driveways and cross-access easements between adjacent properties. So this is also, again, creating an area where you can have you know, your visual with your landscaping to meet that 20% requirement, and then also providing the safety for the pedestrians as well, coming in and out of the parking lots. If we are going to have things like sports complexes, we want to have everyone safe, especially having small children, elderly. So this would be a great example of that. For design and interior circulation, we want clear routes, lighting, landscaping, and again, defined pedestrian connections. For buffers and transitions, we want to use landscape buffers between parking areas and neighboring residential uses. So this would be an example where we are creating that buffer zone. This would help with places like we had the comments about the car washes and it creating loud noises for the residential areas. Creating these buffer zones would help. So landscaping becomes a big proponent in that. We don't want to just put up a brick wall. We want to be able to have it aesthetically pleasing. So landscaping is kind of why we go that route instead of the walls or other type of elements. And then here's another example of just how you could have that commercial building, a huge development go in next to a single family home, but creating that buffer again with landscaping where you have a breakup between trees and then smaller shrubs and things. You can do the xeriscaping. We have that option, which would be more native plants that wouldn't require a lot of watering. So just to give you guys some ideas of exactly kind of what we're thinking and to help with that.
You know, our codes require a 7-foot block wall between a house and a commercial development. So that kind of eliminates the, I don't know, I don't think you would develop like this, right?
Not here in Lindon with the
No.
7-foot wall requirement.
Our ordinance does allow you to change that, modify that to a landscape screen if you wanted to, but we've never done that. We always just say 7-foot wall.
Mhm.
Well, that's mainly because the neighbors would
Want
go
the
away.
wall.
Yeah, they want the wall.
And what's been interesting about, with the 7-foot wall next to Tag and Go, the sound actually bounces off the wall and into their home louder, that they've had a lot of problems from.
You know, how did you come up with all these ideas? Is that,
So this is based off of our commercial design standard. We have just a whole guideline that we use. So the concepts are from that, and then I just went online and found examples of those
Okay.
things.
you know, what we'll get as we start developments, you're gonna get a lot of pushback from commercial developers saying, hey, you're dedicating half of my project or a third of my project to landscaping, walkways, sitting areas, planters, and they're gonna say, I can't afford to do it. Doesn't pencil out. So I think we have to be careful not to over-design or expect too much. They're gonna look at their bottom line and say, I gotta have X amount of dollars produced from my development, or this doesn't pencil out. And so, you know, a lot of the pictures that you were showing almost looked like the whole project was walkways and streets and parking and flowers and trees. And I didn't see the commercial development. So that's something we need to consider as we do it. Speaking from my
Yeah.
developers.
So kind of what you were doing though was just taking that 20% landscaping requirement and showing examples of how that could be plugged in.
Yes,
Possibly.
exactly.
Some of
Yes.
those look like a lot more than 20%, I don't know. It depends.
Yeah, it's just giving you the
Yeah.
idea of planter boxes with seating, you know, how a walkway
Right.
could look with
Yeah.
different pavers, that type of thing. It wasn't saying like, here's your $20 million price tag, let's do it, you know? It was more of just looking at these different type of examples to see exactly how we want to maybe develop that 700 North area and not have it be, you know, a car wash or a fast food place as the first thing that we see when driving, especially with that being the main drag point that everybody is going to see. I don't think that that's maybe the vision that Lindon City has of being welcome to Lindon.
No, but realistically, you gotta remember, any commercial developer's gonna say, that's what I want them to see, is my commercial development. Not, if they can't see Culver's because they've got trees and landscaping, Culver's won't succeed. I'm just saying, that's what they're gonna say. So we gotta find a compromise there where that we can both survive.
And I think it's doable, it's just
Yeah, I do too.
how.
Of course
Yeah.
it is.
How.
Yeah.
I like the things that you've been showing. We just gotta be sensitive to our percentage requirement. We're not only here with being in the desert, but we're also in a snow situation in the wintertime where we need room to stack snow and whatnot, and we don't wanna stack it on top of beautiful landscape. So we can't, and I'm not saying anybody has, but we can't take a San Diego model and totally mimic it here in the West, in the mountain states, you know. We gotta, but I love the, you know, the ideas that you're throwing out here to us as far as, you know, how it can be done with some monumental landscape things and whatnot that would work real well in the village concept. But again, we've gotta be just a little bit
Gotta be realistic.
realistic.
You know, if you look at what Pleasant Grove has done off Pleasant Grove Boulevard, what do you see when you drive off that street?
Yeah,
The commercial buildings,
yeah,
because that's what those commercial
yeah.
businesses expect.
I like that your design is, we're gonna be a little bit more flexible and allow an art piece maybe to, you know, reflect that. Right before,
count,
we were
yeah.
we were very rigid. So I like this.
Measuring grass, you
Yeah,
know, and
so I
I'm
like
glad
that
that
you're-
we're getting away from that,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's something we're gonna need to write into the ordinance.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
I think too, being able and thinking about, not everyone wants to go to the mountains to explore and have that time in nature. So if we could find that happy medium with putting that into these areas that are close to residential areas, but also providing those shops and that experience that people want of those gathering areas, I think it is doable. We just have to do it in the right way. Maybe it is with creating those big planters, you know, having things like that. Like maybe bigger things, xeriscaping, stuff like that. So that way we are water-wise conscious, but we're also providing that element that people want, you know? Because not everybody is gonna want to go hiking or experience those things. So thinking of all those different types of things that we could implement, you know? And none of these examples were to say, let's do it here, you know? But it's just to give those ideas.
I'm a little bit encouraged by the fact, with all the food joints that have gone in Pleasant Grove, that there are actually a few that still might wanna come over to Lindon, cause they've got everything and then some that you can imagine over there.
Culver's would be really nice.
Yeah, I like Culver's. Culver's is a good, you know, and I don't know if that Culver's, if they could switch it up where it's like the Culver's here, the Quick Quack back behind it, cause Quick Quack is a membership thing. It's not necessarily gonna be driven by, oh, there it is. I'm gonna pull in there. So if you could put Culver's in the front on their 5 acres and put maybe Quick Quack in the back.
You think Quick Quack would do that?
They would, when I talked to them today,
They won't do
they
that.
wanna go right on.
On the street.
And then,
They, yeah, they want the visibility, even though they're a membership only.
and then they did say that they would do the one like in Highland or Alpine.
Oh, they did?
The color's
I-
muted.
What?
I showed him our color palette, and he's
Oh,
like, oh, we'll do the one like in
Yeah.
Alpine or.
They do other colors, if they're forced to.
I can remember years ago when the holiday oil thing was coming in and they said, no, we just have to have that bright red roof, we have to have this and this and this, and I kinda dug in my heels on
They're
that.
recycling, they
And
need
the
to
colors
change it a little bit
are,
more.
you know, they are more
sulfur.
muted.
Yeah, so he's like, we want it to look just, he's like, that's the layout they need.
Yeah.
So that would be along,
And is that the one in Alpine?
Can you throw a street view on that?
sorry, it went dead for a second. So that's the layout they want it parallel to
The main artery.
main artery, so it
That
looks like
doesn't
that.
look so.
Well, that is a nicer look.
Yeah.
It's a nice look. I mean, I'm not gonna fault them for that.
The one in Mapleton they just built is really nice, but the mayor of Mapleton is a majority stockholder in Quick Quack.
That's
So
right.
They all want to do their
that's
orange,
right.
yellow and green, unless you say.
Interesting.
Yeah, done that way, you know, it's like,
Well, at least it gives us one to point to that, hey, we really like that Mapleton one.
yeah. Well, the fact that they do, if you're to do it this way, then the sound of the vacuums and all that stuff is also hidden way
Yeah.
back behind the building, off the street, you know, so, I don't know.
Right on the side, though.
I think you did a really nice job on your presentation, thank you.
Yeah, so next time we'll talk, Brittany will present on the architecture, why we get to this type of building compared to
Right,
white and bright green.
right, or
Yeah.
yellow and bright
Yellow
green.
and bright green,
Yeah.
so.
And a duck statue.
Hey, it's art.
Yeah.
That's sidewalk art.
Let's just go all the way down that side of the road. Ducks.
It's your picture.
This is what.
Inflatable duck.
Flappy wings.
You know, I get a little bit concerned where the public that was here tonight are so far away from the north side of the corridor.
And they're convinced there's a
And they're convinced there's a problem and whatnot, but really, the problem, I don't know if there's anything we can do about it, and that's that 700 North corridor is a traffic magnet, and
Well, it's a corridor.
It's
you
it's
know,
off.
and it is what it is, yeah,
what
it
it
is
is.
what it is, so, you know, and
That was my concern, you know, they want houses on there, but I don't know they want
The
to
only
build
kind
houses on that
of,
kind of
what they
street.
need, the only houses they would ever get there in any other city would be high-density, high-rise housing, and that's not gonna work
Right,
for us.
that's what I was trying to get, you know, they all want single,
That's the highest traffic.
single-family residence there, and
They're
that's,
already gonna see
Th-
that.
Those homes are as close as you can get homes before people start pushing back unless they're renting or living in an apartment complex.
Well, and the same people are gonna lose it here, they're gonna lose it when they put apartments over on 2,000. How many are going there in PG?
Yeah, they've got like, they've
1,000
like
doors is what they got permitted for.
Yeah.
I think it's like 1,400 or
It
something.
was over 1,000 then.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the thing is, these people, when they bought the homes in Ivory, every single one of them knew that was gonna be commercial out there on this street.
I knew 15 years ago.
Right.
My house backs up to Anderson right there.
But
My
you can
backyard
sure-
will be.
You can surely sympathize.
yes.
Yeah, you could sympathize.
It's been alfalfa
Well, they've been,
farming for so many years.
I've just
it's
been
been
grateful.
quiet for them. For a lot of years, it's been really quiet, you know, but they knew something someday was gonna happen.
Well, and if we do the south side right, that's gonna be a good
Yeah.
buffer for those homes that are there, to buffer them from 700 north.
Yeah.
Yep. You can't have the horse pasture at the end of your street. I tried. Now it's,
And it's not so bad then, now that it's gone. You already admitted that. It's not the end of the world.
it's not as bad as I thought it would be, but I'd sure rather have it be a horse pasture still. I'll tell you.
Absolutely.
But I didn't buy it. Okay, let's move on to item 7, our Community Development Director report and Commissioner reports, and we'll see.
Just quickly, for the next meeting, you've got State Street and 135 West right here. We're gonna bring an amendment to the road profile, to you. Right now, it requires 29 feet of asphalt, and we want to be, with the farmer's market that goes on there, we wanna widen it, the asphalt, just to 32 feet, so then we can do some on-street parking there. So we're gonna modify, and then there was a developer looking at developing this green space as well. And he's walked away from this project, but still the owners want to sell that. And so we're trying to work with them on the road profile, so when they go out to developers, they, that's in place.
You know, that street is at 135, right there.
It's the worst paved street in the city.
It's actually not the worst, but it's up there. Steve's been on 600 North, probably.
Oh, that one's that's new, but it's bumpy.
It's not, yeah,
It's not bumpy, it's
new, it's
a
the
Craterville.
But they've city set aside money this year to redo that one.
So what type of developer is interested?
They want to do 2 single-family homes,
Oh,
Yeah.
so, but he's walked away, but I'm sure they'll find another one. The standard land use amendment that we talked about tonight, and then we've got a lady that's gonna add a sunroom onto her home. It's a non-conforming lot, and so you'll review that as a non-conforming, expansion of a non-conforming use. And
And
so,
then you've kind of answered my other 2 questions, kind of. We continued both items last time, but you haven't heard anything from the sports complex on that,
Or the snakes.
or the snakes.
the snakes, I think the landlord said that he's not signing a lease with them, so.
Okay,
I
so
think
that one's just dead on
After
the line.
tonight, that one's just dead. So
We don't need to go back and do anything, they're just
Oh.
gonna withdraw it. and-
No, we can't even get her to respond, so we're just gonna write her a letter saying that we are canceling your application with the information from the landlord and no response from you. And then with the sports facility, it's funny, Jason is not sending me any information, but then they submitted building plans last week. And so yeah, we don't know where they're at.
Okay.
So I talked to the other partner, and he was like, well, I can't believe he hasn't submitted an application yet, but, so I don't know where they're at, so,
We were stuck on the landscaping with that, right?
yes.
But we were
Percentages.
willing to make some concessions on that in the development agreement.
Mhm, yeah.
Okay, just curious where those were at, because I know they're kind of hanging out there.
So,
Anything else?
that's all I have.
Finally got the temple announced.
Yeah.
Yes, that's
Yeah,
exciting.
That's exciting. Okay, I have one little comment on that. In fact, I was talking to Carolyn and I told her to. I think on that night that is a public night for those only who are invited, I think the planning commission ought to get to be invited.
So what I
If
would
you have
do
any
is,
say.
I would get Wayne Corbridge's ear, and, cause Wayne Corbridge, he's over the open house committee,
Well, I know Wayne Corbridge very
and
well.
so that's who I
Hey
would talk
Sharon,
to.
that's your assignment.
Without us, right?
Go get them.
That's right. I do know him quite well. It's just that I don't see him very often.
We might have to knock on his door.
Yeah.
Well, and they're actually in the process of selling their home, because their new home is done up in Daybreak this
Oh, wow.
next month.
So he's moving.
Uh-huh.
Huh.
Yeah. So,
Exciting to have that. They didn't wait till school is out, so we'll see how traffic goes during the fun time, but.
And I don't know, this is what Wayne told me, but they are not going to do tickets, because nobody comes when their ticket
Is that
time
right?
anyways, and so they said they are just gonna open it up and encourage people to come in the off-hour times. But things could change by then, but that's
yeah,
what he was telling me before, so.
well,
They're thinking, well, I worry about parking and schools and, I mean, because if you just open that up to any time,
Yep.
that,
They do
I
have
heard
several,
they were gonna shuttle.
they have several churches around. there.
right, so if they
Church-
shuttle, then that makes sense, park at, like the Central Stake Center or whatever and shuttle them up, that makes a whole lot more sense than trying to park them
by the school.
by the schools there.
Yeah, we haven't heard anything on that yet.
well, Wayne Corbridge is over the open house. Daryl Magleby is the executive secretary to Wayne.
Oh, really?
So, okay. But yes, that was exciting. Anything from any of the commissioners?
Yeah, question, Los Hermanos down here, behind it, there was some talk about the city buying some of that, the church wanting to buy some of that, what's going on there?
Well, so the city bought that.
It's purchased.
It's,
I can't remember, I thought we were closing on it either this week or next week.
Oh, I was thinking maybe it already happened. It
I
was
know it was at the
quick.
end of
I mean, it's
October.
soon.
Yep.
That's for the retention pond.
Retention pond, and they've done a
Park.
park master plan for
so
it.
they're talking about a park going in that entire property then?
Well,
That's
I don't have them with me right now.
Yeah,
I can
still
show
up
you
in the
next
air.
time. The
Okay.
council's review, actually, I don't know if I can pull it up.
He's gonna have a nice park in there and the retention pond and the.
And then I heard
And
that
some
the church wanted to buy that piece right behind, that sort of cut-off piece that the road cuts off, the church wanted to buy that.
Along that, yeah, I don't know.
I think that's kind of what they're looking at
Oh, okay.
for that property.
Nice.
Looked great.
Well, the Thorntons should be happy.
Yeah, should be is the key word. I don't know if you can make him happy.
The other ones they talked about was the city center park, making the ballpark nicer, removing one ballpark on the east, and then adding some additional gravel parking for the trailers and things like that for the rodeo grounds, enhancing the one park they do have there, building some terrace seating, a restroom, announcer booth around the rodeo grounds. Possibly at some future point, adding some additional parking where those three homes are at.
That'd be nice.
And then up on the hillside, by the horse transfer station, possibly adding some more pickleball courts, a little obstacle course.
This is up on the east.
Yeah,
end.
a little bike park,
About
skills
1200,
area.
yeah.
So this is the plan they're looking at. But
I do like to go up there with my horses, though. Are they still planning to preserve?
definitely,
Okay.
that's this
I put
area.
the original hitching post in up there.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, as a Eagle project for
Nice.
some guys.
So on this park that they're, down behind Los
That's
Hermanos
cool.
and down
I
in
like
there, will we see a site plan on that or anything when that comes through or not?
I don't know on that
city.
for sure.
Either.
Sometimes it
I
makes
just
you
wonder. So that when it does go in, we kind of know what's going to be there?
The only problem with that park,
Just a
there's not
question.
very much parking for two big soccer fields.
Well, I don't, what they've done is saying this is, we could fit 2 soccer fields, and they,
That's just gonna be a basin.
it's going to be a basin. So they put it in there just for reference that they could if the city ever wanted to. There will be a lot of on-street parking along this new road connection.
Okay, 'cause that,
Just have them park along Gilman Lane.
Yeah, see what happens with that.
we haven't closed the meeting yet, and they might be on their way.
So those are just for reference only.
Yeah, okay, it's just,
Works.
that's a big area of grass with
Yes.
not a lot of parking is my only concern with that.
And we did have I think we had more pickleball courts in here, and we're like, we don't have enough parking for more pickleball courts, so they dropped it down to 2, so.
You should be happy with the plans for all the pickleball courts.
If you didn't take the time to come to the Halloween thing here at the city on 24th, Alan Walker did an amazing job, and so when I see you asking to increase or better that park, it was amazing the way they had, you parked up here and then walked down the trail, and he had it all lit up and all the, it was really well done. It was,
I brought a couple of grandkids to that. and
it was really well
fun.
done. It was,
But, yeah, I guess once again, though, that's a place where parking's just, you know, if we get more or something, it's just, they're almost to our house when an event happens, you know, down Locust.
And I think that'll be the main discussion with whatever happens with the new school district and Lindon Elementary. You know, that'll be a discussion too, because we kind of depend a lot on that parking in the school, so.
Yep. Okay, anything else from anybody?
Just a simple question, but do you know when the Christmas party is for the city? Do you know a date on that?
It is. Just have to look at a calendar, because that's the only way I know. It's December 18th
Oh, okay.
at like 12:30, I want to say.
so it's
on
an
the-
afternoon, it's an afternoon thing?
It's a daytime one? Is that the staff one? I mean,
So
is that the?
that's the city one, and then the potluck one is, I don't know what date that one is, but that's the.
I think they did that last year too, didn't
We
they?
did a
Yeah,
lunchtime
yeah,
one
that's
last
on the
year.
18th,
Yeah, it's in the
but it
afternoon.
is at noon
Yeah,
rather
it's
than
like
at
they did
night?
last year, where they did the lunch. The lunch last year.
Over at the community center.
Oh, that's, okay, okay. So on the 18th at noon.
Okay. Is there anything else? If not, I'll call for a motion to adjourn.
Make that motion.
Second the motion?
We have a motion and a second to adjourn. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? The voting is unanimous. We are adjourned.
Awesome, thank you.
We missed your little boy tonight. Oh, there he is. I didn't see him back there. He's usually back here.
Oh, we got some signature stuff. Thank you.
Get rid of them. It's just if we have